In this video, we're going to review the quality assurance, quality control procedures in the quality control manual. Now, this manual was put together using several standards from several different organizations and institutes and associations. The purpose of the manual is to assist the superintendent and project manager in evaluating the quality of construction on the projects. Even the most seasoned project manager and the superintendent are going to miss things. And so a checklist helps them to be able to go through and check all the different various items of the work throughout the project. Construction projects often cost millions of dollars, and you've got very, very expensive materials, components, equipment being put together by a very fragile and very fallible component, and that are the craftsmen. For example, an individual such as a carpenter or a mechanical worker is so subject to being hurt. For example, a fall can break bones or break the head and cause death. So it's very important that procedures are followed so that injury and death does not happen on one of our jobs. Humans are also very fallible. We make mistakes. And any of us are subject to making mistakes. Even the most skilled craftsman can make a mistake. For example, a carpenter may have a fight or an argument with his wife in the morning and go to work that day and be thinking about that and not be thinking about what he's doing. Or perhaps a loved one just passed away that he just found out about, or maybe his kid is having problems in school, or various problems, domestic problems that can affect the way a person thinks. And so even a skilled craftsman is subject to make errors. And yet we depend upon the human element quality. We depend upon the human element to erect a structure that is valued in the millions of dollars. And so it really behooves us, it's really important for us to try to catch every error and catch it while it's small before it becomes big. And that is why this manual was put together. Now, it's very, very thorough. And some people might think, do I really have to go through and check all these things off? I don't have time to do that. I've got all these subcontractors to deal with, and I've got carpenters, and I've got tradesmen, and I've got material suppliers, and I've got inspectors, and I've got the architect, and I've got engineers, and I'm just being pulled at by 15 different directions. And how can I take the time to sit down and go through a construction inspection manual? Well, that's why they call us professionals, because we can handle all that if we make the time. And quality is very important, just like safety. We don't want to sacrifice safety, and we don't want to sacrifice quality. We have to get the job done safely, and we have to get the job done right. Now, this is not just one book that the superintendent takes with him from job to job to job. Copies are made of these for each job. For each job, the superintendent and or the project manager can help out the superintendent doing some of this stuff too. The two can work together, make sure that all these items get checked, all these items get inspected. The two of them working together. If he has a field engineer on the job, the field engineer can help him out as well. The important thing is that everything gets checked, everything gets looked at. We don't want to rely on somebody making $7 or $10 an hour to do the job right, because they're just fallible, they're just humans, they're just like us. They make mistakes. And so the more eyes we have on the job, the less likely it is that we're going to have problems with quality. So we have one of these for each one of the jobs. What I suggest is you get an empty 3-ring binder. And this is the master. When you do one of these inspections, you open this up, you take it out, use your copy machine or a fax machine. If you don't have a regular copy machine, use the fax machine. as a copy machine, make a copy of this. Punch the 3 holes in it, put it on a clipboard if you may, go out to the job inspection. When you get done with the job inspection, you file it in the empty 3-ring binder. This one is the one that's going to stay with the project file. After the project is done, all the files are boxed up, put in a storage room at the company's office, and these inspection reports are going to be put in there with it. If there is any problems, if you check on here that there is a problem, over in the right-hand column we make a note of the problem. Then we're going to staple on a separate sheet of paper. On that separate sheet of paper we're going to track what was done. Subcontractor was notified at this date. It was remedied at this date. All that is stapled on with this inspection paper and put into the 3-ring binder. This is documentation. This is all part of being professional. This sets you apart. It sets us apart as constructionist professionals. We're not just out there throwing stuff together, slapping mortar here and slapping paint there and little joint compound and popping some ceiling tiles up. We're not just slapping the building together. We are professionals. We are inspecting everything. We are controlling quality. We are making sure that the owner gets what they pay for. We want to exceed owner's expectations. When we work with an architect, we want that architect to be very impressed with the way we do things. We are professionals. We want to be better than other contractors. We want to distinguish ourselves with quality and with service. And this is part of doing it. Now let's take a look at here. Verify soil information report is on job and reviewed. Note elevation of water table. Things like this. Do you know where your soils report is? There's a testing agency that did that. Oftentimes it's in the spec book, but things like that. This is for site work. These are very easily put together. They're put together by the section number. Look here. We've got membrane roofing. Verify materials of types required are provided. Verify softening points of bitumen is as required. Verify materials are identifiable and comply with the ASTM and FS standards. There we have industry standards. Okay? It's all spelled out here what the standards are. Verify roll roofing is stood on end and kept free from contact with earth and moisture. Now look at that. There is a distinguishing mark. We're going to make sure that those roofers store their material as per standards. You see the ASTM standards and the FS standards. They tell us how the roofing material is to be stored. That roofer, he's used to working for Joe Blow contractor. He shows up and he throws his roofing material however you want. But when he works for our company, we're going to go out there and we're going to say that's not how that material is to be stored. We're going to tell them roll roofing has to be stood on end, has to be kept free of contact with earth, with soil, and moisture. So what happens if his material gets wet? We mark it with spray paint, make him remove it from the job. So if it gets wet, we make a note here, material was wet. We get a separate sheet, we staple it on there, and say subcontractor was notified material was wet, material was marked with spray paint. Subcontractor came on this date, removed material from job. Watch these guys. Don't think that they're going to abide by something just because you say. Enforce it. Make sure they remove that from your site. And when they come back with more material, make sure that they don't come back with the same stuff they removed, because I've had it happen on my jobs. Okay, verify felts for use with asphalt. Are asphalt saturated? Felts for use with coal tar saturated. Make sure they're using the right pound felts. I've had roofers try to use 15-pound felts where the specifications called for 30-pound felts. We want to inspect, make sure that the owner's getting what he's paid for. Okay? It says, verify asphalt and pitch are not overheated. Check kettle thermometer. You know how many times a roofer shows up on the job and the superintendent just assumes, well, he's a roofing specialist. He knows how to roof. I don't know much about roofing. I better just let him do his job. Well, that's not the job. That's not the role of superintendent, is just to let them do the job. We've got to look over their shoulder and make sure that they're doing it right. Check the temperature on the kettle. Mark it off on the check sheet. All this stuff. And, when felt layer equipment is used, observe that jets are clear and adequate and a uniform layer of bitumen is deposited. Get up on that roof when they're installing it and look at the equipment that they're using. They drag it behind and it shoots jets of the asphalt down. Are all the jets working? Are they getting a uniform layer? Or is there like a streak running down through there that's a dry streak? And those $6, $7 an hour workers are just going to lay that felt right down on there and leave that dry streak there. Let's be professionals. Let's be looking over their shoulders. Let them know when they work for this construction company, they're working for construction professionals. We're not Joe Blows that are just going to let them slap stuff together and move on to the next job. If they're going to work on our projects, they're going to do it right. And if they don't do it right, well, then we'll find somebody that will. Let's look at some more examples. Metal windows. Verify windows are sealed as required for metal-to-metal surfaces and other surfaces. Observe that solid grouting, caulking, and backup are provided if required. Verify finish is maintained or protected and maintained during and after installation. How many times have I seen windows get scratched up? I was going to say windows get ruined, but I've seen frames get scratched up after they've been installed because they were not protected properly. Observe glazing operation. Verify type of sealant is as required, applied in accordance with instructions. Now windows can cause problems and are notorious for causing problems and have been linked to mold problems that happen in jobs. We want to be on top of all these subcontractors. We are the professionals. We're the ones out there responsible for quality. We want to make sure that everybody there cares as much about the job, is as passionate about the job as we are. Okay. Lath and plaster. Okay. Verify anchorages, blockings, and plates required for other equipment, support, and fastening are provided and installed. Let's be on top of that, before we get covered up and have to tear stuff out. Verify corner beads, expansion devices, vents, screeds, casing, trim, and other accessories are provided and properly installed. A lot of times that means going to the submittal and finding out how that needs to be done. If the submittal doesn't say, and you're not sure, call the subcontractor, ask them where he bought his materials from. Call the material supplier, ask them if they've got a representative that come out, take a look at your job. We're going to make sure that they do it right. We're going to make sure that our project is awesome. Our project is quality number one. And when you hire us to do your work, you can sleep well at night. You don't have to worry about the quality of your project because we're worrying about the quality of your project. Wood flooring. Verify joints are driven up tight, tongue undamaged. Verify sleepers are of material required and set securely anchored over subsurface required and ventilation more effective. Verify interior surfaces such as plaster, concrete, and masonry are dry. Obtain moisture meter test if required. Verify areas to receive flooring are closed in and adequate temperature above 50 degrees is provided. Do not allow overheating. Verify delivered material is of grade and type and specified, stored in the area at least 72 hours before installation and needs to climatize. Verify felt paper, slip sheet, or underlayment is required if provided. In this area, we're specifically concerned about that underlayment here in South Texas because of moisture warping that wooden floor. Acoustical treatment. Verify hangers anchored to steel support systems are installed as required. Make sure they're not skimping on the ties. Verify system is installed and adjusted to true alignment, square and level. Verify fire rated systems are installed in accordance with UL systems. Ensure hold down clips, if required, for acoustical matter is less than 1 pound per square foot. And verify hangers anchored to concrete support systems are installed as required and fastened by twisting around rebar. Very detailed inspections in here. Making sure that nothing slips. That architect comes on your job, he's not going to find anything that you're not already aware of. That's all of what using the construction manual is about. At the end of the project, this manual is kept with project records as I had specified. Anything comes up in warranty, any lawsuits come up, anything like that, we have documentation that makes us look awesome. That is important. So the construction inspection manual should not be undervalued. This manual is very comprehensive. Took hours and hours to put together. Contains the standards from several different, I think I read in here someplace how many different agencies were used to compile this manual. It's somewhere around 100. I don't know if it was just over 100 or just under 100 different agencies. This is an awesome manual, and to neglect it is terrible. So talk with your project manager or project managers, talk with superintendents, operation managers, talk with people in your regional offices. Get familiar with quality control manuals, and make sure that when our projects are built, they're quality projects. The owner gets what he pays for, and the owner knows when he hires us, he's going to get outrageous customer